Right, let's kick off this episode of Roll Off Rundowns. This episode is all about dumpster rental leads. That phrase is searched hundreds of times a month by haulers like you that want to know, like, how do I get more dumpster rental leads? So that's what this episode is all about. Thank you to our guest host, Tim Coe, who is our Director of Digital Marketing here at Docket. He helps all of our customers do just that, get more dumpster rental leads through their websites. But he also has, 20 plus years of knowledge of getting leads for businesses. So I'm going to kick us off here with what I think is probably the number one way that you can get more leads. And you really don't have to do anything too special, but let me show you how not to get leads. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen here. All right. So I just snagged these pictures from the internet. And the thing to consider here is if you were to look at either these trucks or these dumpsters, would you know, without going up really close to them, would you know what business name it was? Would you be enticed to rent these? Would you even know if they're for rent? This is not how you advertise your business, because your trucks and your dumpsters they're like moving billboards, right? You leave that dumpster on a construction site and you're going to see that, plenty of people driving by. That could be the foreman of a construction site. It could be the owner of a big construction company or a home builder. They're going to see your dumpsters. They're going to see trucks driving on the road. And that's free advertising for you. And well, I say free, it's not free because you have to make a minimal investment to get this. So what does that investment look like? So let's break down some cost here. And granted, these costs are going to range pretty widely. So, you'll have to look in your market, but to wrap your truck, and there's various ways you can do this. I've seen really elaborate truck wraps that are probably the 3,000 plus range. But you can also just wrap your door with your logo and stuff that will tell you what to put on here. But it varies. So $5,000 to $3,000 roughly. And then the dumpster graphics. A lot of this is, you can go really elaborate on your dumpsters, and I'll show you an example of that at the end. Or you can get, some really nice graphics that are going to stand out on your dumpster for not a ton of money. But let's just assume for this example that we're going to spend not 20,000. We're going to spend $2,000 to do both the truck wrap and put graphics on the dumpster. And I'm just talking about one dumpster and one truck. So let's take a look at what that would mean. So if you were to break even, how long would it take you to just break even on spending the money, spending $2,000 to do this? So, let's just say that this branding, when you're putting it out there, you've got your cool dumpster sitting out there that has your shiny graphics that people are getting business off of, your trucks are driving around. Let's just be super conservative and say this gets you 2 more rentals a week. And your average cost of a dumpster rental is $400. This might be more or less for your area, but let's just use this as an example. For a lot of dumpster rental businesses, your profit margin, so after you take out your expenses, your profit margin on a dumpster rental is about 40%. So that's $160 for this that you actually get of profit on this rental. And granted, I'm oversimplifying things here on purpose, but just hang with me for a second. So if we rent 2 more dumpsters a week because of your new shiny graphics, that's $160 worth of profit each, which is $320 of profit. So how many weeks until you break even? It's easy math. So our initial investment is $2,000. We are profiting $320 a week. And roughly in 6 weeks, you've paid for those graphics on the truck as well as on the dumpster. And if we have 46 weeks left in the year, if you did this on Jan 1, that's nearly $15,000 of profit. So what actually goes in your pocket? And we're just talking about one truck and one dumpster. You can argue and say like, hey, well, what if I have to pay for, I got one truck, but I've got lots of dumpsters. Well, great. All those dumpsters become billboards that are sitting out there. And if you think about, we used really conservative numbers here to say, 2 dumpster rentals a week extra. Well, what if you got more than that because your dumpsters, are all over. So each one's getting 2 extra. Really interesting. But if we, think about that first slide that I showed, there's no branding on those things. And no one's going to get an extra or more dumpster rentals a week from having a blank dumpster that doesn't really look that great out there, sitting out there getting business. So this is a really easy way to get more dumpster rental leads for your business. Let me show you what you should include here so you can do it the right way. So they definitely have to know what is your business. This might actually be secondary because they're going to see something else that hopefully catches their attention first. But who the heck am I going to do business with here? So make sure you got your logo and your business name. Make sure those things are easy to read. I've seen some stuff that gets really complicated and just ornate, and it's not easy to read at a distance. So always keep that in mind. The next thing is obviously your phone number. You want, if they're out in the field, they're going to have to call you to rent that dumpster. So you want your phone number to be huge on the dumpster, and make sure it's visible on your truck as well. And then a tagline. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's look at some examples. So you want to write a tagline that helps the person reading it invoke some kind of emotion. These buying decisions, whether it's renting a dumpster or purchasing sneakers, it has to have emotion tied to it. So reliable when you need us. That word reliable is a great one. Committed to safety. So especially if you're targeting construction companies or home developers, like, hey, my company is committed to safety, that is psychologically going to help them understand what you stand for. Always on time. That's probably another good one if you're targeting construction companies and home builders. Rent me today. It's like, hey, there's a CTA there, call to action that has immediate, like, our psyche's like, okay, I'm going to call sooner than later. And bonus would be lots of people, even the old boomers who take their phone and they're just kind of like doing this. Everyone knows what a QR code is these days. And so why not use it? You might actually be able to get people to rent right there on your website if you use a QR code. So let's take a look at this. What's a good example? I took this picture at the Great Lone Star event that was held in Fort Worth last year. And they had some examples of dumpsters that were kitted out in just neat ways. This is in Texas, so they use the Texas flag. But you see that dumpster going down the street, and you'll definitely look at it, especially here in Texas. But notice how it has "Rent Me Today" super large on the side. The phone number is very visible. I know this is from Trash Hunters, and I've got the QR code sitting on the truck. I mean, people, you don't want to cause accidents, but they might actually take a picture of that when your truck is parked. And you've got your phone number on the truck as well. This kind of wrap would just be the door. That would probably be a pretty inexpensive one. You could probably just do decal on that. But if you wanted to make it look even slicker, you could spend some extra money for your truck and get a full wrap. You could do the hood, you could do all that stuff. But for this purpose, this is really nice and visible. So this is our first way of how you can get more dumpster rental leads. Do not discount that your dumpsters and your trucks are moving billboards. And now I'm going to turn it over to Tim to talk about more digital ways that you can attract people and get more dumpster rental leads to your business.
Hey, thanks, Matt. So we're going to jump into a few topics here. First one's going to be reviews, blogs, conversion rate optimization, and then PPC and SEO. All right, so the very first one's going to be reviews, which is primarily focused on your Google business profile. So this is a huge way and a really easy way to get a lot more leads. We have clients asking us all the time about this. How do I get more leads? And the first thing that I look at with their business is how many reviews do you have? And then how many reviews your competitor has? And that kind of lets you know what you need to focus on or gives you the bar to shoot for. If you're at 30 leads and the top person in your area has 100 reviews, sorry about that, then that's what you need to shoot for, is 101. So in order to get those, a lot of people don't understand how to get those. Like, how do I get people to that? How do I do that? And I'll show you real quick here. I'm going to exit the presentation. And when you pull up your Google business profile, so you should be able to just type into Google your business name, and it should pull up your Google business profile if you have this set up. So the easiest thing to do is simply click on your Google reviews. And as long as you're logged in, it's going to show this get more reviews button right here. You'll click on that, and then this gives you a few options. So this is a really nice short link that'll take them right to a review that they can actually start filling out. So rather than trying to send them to this figure out how to do it, these are a few ways to do it. You can email it to them, grab a link, or even the QR code right here. So that's the easiest way to do it. Get it to your clients, put it in an email. You can shoot that via text. There's a lot of different ways that you can get that out there to them, but that's the one that I recommend. And then with your reviews, make sure you're responding to those reviews. If someone leaves a review, make sure you're saying, hey, thanks for that. Even if it's a bad review, don't engage with them, but you definitely want to acknowledge it because that's actually a ranking factor. Google does look to see how much you engage with that stuff, and that can help your local rankings.
Like when people want to get a Google review, should they ask like right after the service? Should they wait? What are your suggestions there?
Excellent question, Matt. So like you want to ask right when you're done, even right when you're picking up the can. Basically, as soon as the transaction is done, you want to be asking for that Google review. If you wait too long, it's just like anything else. If you wait too long, they're going to forget about it. They're not going to be as excited. Right when you're done, when you're picking it up, that's when they're the most excited about your service. That's when they're the most satisfied. So they're more likely to leave a Google review right then. So the next one here we're going to talk about is blogs. This is one I talk to a lot of clients about. And when people hear about this, they're like, I don't want to start writing. And it's not necessarily about having to write really long blogs. And I know you hear a lot about that, especially with AI today. It can generate these super long blogs, but that's not necessarily the best way to do it. A short blog, 300 to 500 words, can still be really, really powerful. Now, the reason why blogs are beneficial is they're not necessarily to generate leads. They're to generate visibility. Google loves fresh quality content. So if on your site, all you have is a home page and your dumpsters page and maybe a contact page, to Google, it looks pretty thin. Putting blogs on there starts to let Google know that you're an authority in the industry, that you have this knowledge that you're willing to share with people. And in turn, Google's going to start ranking you higher for other keywords that are relevant. It also boosts your authority score. So all of those things are going to help you show in a lot more searches. And in turn, it's going to get you more traffic, which turns into more leads. So you don't have to do huge, long 4,000 word blogs, nothing like that. A 300 to 500 word blog about your business, about the dumpster sizes you have, or even about an experience with a client are fantastic. People love reading those, and they're really, really good for your overall visibility. The next one we're going to talk about is conversion rate optimization. This is a big one. Because the next two are PPC and SEO, and those are kind of the big subjects. Everyone wants to know about those, but something you need to look at first is how well is your current website converting the traffic that's coming to it. If it's not converting it very well, then doing SEO or PPC isn't necessarily going to help you as much as you think. Getting your website to convert really high is excellent to do before you start doing SEO and PPC, because then once you do those, then you're going to get even more business and a lot more bang for your buck. Now, a few things that you want to look at, first and foremost, is probably going to be the mobile version. Most initial visits these days are from mobile, so making sure it looks good on mobile. This is an example of a mobile version, and the reason why it's important is because of how simple it is. It shows the logo right here, dumpster rental and junk removal. They know exactly what you do now. They can hit the book now or the call now button on mobile, and then the book now again. And so just by landing right here, they see who your business is, they see what you do, and they see a call now as well as a book now. This is conversion rate optimization. Now we can take it a lot further than this, and I'm going to show you a couple examples here real quick. These are tests that we actually ran on our Docket website. We run tests on there all the time. Matt and I both talk about these a ton. And this is a test that we ran for button verbiage. So basically what we wanted to do is see what verbiage on our buttons is going to get the most engagement and the most clicks. And we tested a few different options. In here, we tested, 6 different options. We had our control version. Then we had schedule your free walkthrough, start your free demo, boost your dumpster business today, get a personalized demo, and then transform your operations with Docket. So we tested all of these to see which one actually converted the best. And you can see in each one of these how many page views each one got, how many conversions they got, and then the actual conversion rate right here. So this is an example of conversion rate optimization, is taking a look at all of these things. Now, when we did this, we saw that this schedule your free walkthrough actually converted 130% higher than the original version that we had on there. So when you're looking at that, that's a lot more business. That's a lot more engagement just by making a small tweak, which was the verbiage of the button, can make all the difference in the world.
What people should consider when you're making these kind of changes is not to be married to anything you think will work. If we did that, we picked our best, what verbiage we thought would work as the control. And then we tested all these other ones against the control. And we found that, wow, this other one, schedule your free walkthrough, was way better than our original one that we came up with. So if you're married to like, oh no, I know this is going to work, we kind of hear that a lot and see it a lot, then you're going to miss out on 100 and whatever that was, 130% lift in conversions on that button. And for you, that's more dumpster rental leads that may be visiting your site and bouncing off because you don't literally don't have the right language on your button. Just such a small change could have a 130% lift. So point is, don't be married to what you think. Let the data speak to you.
And you'll see that again right here. Once again, we had one button color that we originally had. I think it was actually a green. I don't remember the color. It shows orange on here because it's pulling directly from the homepage now. But we tested button colors. In here, we tested 5 different colors. So we had yellow, red, orange, green, and I think maybe this was blue. And what we found is, some of these colors did really, really bad. But the one that did really good was orange. It was almost 20% better than the version that we had been running with for months. And so again, once you start to make that change and the change from the previous one before, you can see how you can get a 200 to 300% lift just by split testing some of these. And this is what conversion rate optimization is it's not enough to just have a website. Having just a website is like having a billboard. You have to make sure that your website is working for you. In order to do that, you need to test out different things and find out what's best. And like Matt said, not what you think is best, but what is actually best driven by data. So the next thing we're going to dive into is pay-per-click. So this is one that pay-per-click will get you basically instant results. The biggest difference between PPC and SEO, which we'll talk about next, is pay-per-click gets you results right there. You give Google money, put up some ads, and you're going to get people to your site today. So yes, immediate traffic. You can also target very specific searches like dumpster rental near me or dump trailer near me or anything like that. It allows you to really fine tune what you're targeting in the area you're targeting it in. You want to send ad clicks to focused landing pages, not home pages. This is one of the biggest things that I see a lot of people doing is they just drop it on their home page. And unfortunately, that's not the best way to go. It's just not in line with the ad that you're running versus what's on your homepage. Even we here at Docket and Service Core, we use landing pages for every single ad that we run. It gives you a much better conversion. And what we were talking about previously with the conversion rate optimization, landing pages are needed for PPC ads. Only show ads to people in your areas you actually serve. This is known as geo-targeting, and this is something I see all the time with clients that are running their own ads. They don't know that you need to focus it on a very specific area. Otherwise, those ads will run all over the nation. And now you're paying for people to click on your ads that are a couple of states away. So you don't want to do that. That's wasted money. So make sure you're targeting it towards your service area and not just blanketing the entire United States. And then it does require a bit of a larger budget. A lot of the things that Matt and I have talked about so far, they're pretty low budget items. This one is a little bit larger. On average, we recommend about $1,000 per month in ad spend. The reason why is when you first start running ads, it takes a little bit for Google to understand who you're targeting, and it takes some time to fine tune not just your ads, but your landing pages. So if you have a really small budget, it's going to take a lot longer. It could take, 8 to 12 months before you get it fine tuned. With a larger budget, you're going to get there a lot quicker, which means you're going to get a lot better leads a lot faster. And then the last one we're going to talk about here is search engine optimization. So this one is, there's a lot of misinformation out there about SEO, but I will say is good SEO is expensive and it creates long-lasting results. But bad SEO is cheap and will negatively impact your business. And this is something we see all the time. So you want to create pages for each city or area you serve. You can do this on your website. These do not have to be in-depth pages. Generally, what I tell clients is take your homepage, clone it over, and then make sure the verbiage on there matches the city that you're targeting. Get listed in local business directories and waste management sites. So a lot of people were like, well, what's a local business directory or even a business directory? Google Business Profile, which is one of the things we talked about earlier, is a business directory that helps your SEO. So is like the yellow pages and all sorts of them. There's a bunch of them out there. Getting listed in there with your business information is going to help your visibility. Make sure your website loads. This is something I see all the time. As you go to someone's website and you're sitting there waiting for it to load. You have less than 2 seconds for your site to load. Otherwise, people are going to leave and go somewhere else. So you need to have a fast site, which means you don't want big videos and big pictures on there. Keeping it simple and to the point is a lot more effective. And then SEO takes time. PPC we talked about, where it's kind of like immediate results. SEO takes a lot more time. On average, it'll take 3 to 6 months to start seeing organic rankings change from your SEO efforts.
Thanks, Tim. A couple of things when you were talking about, the websites and setting them up and testing button colors and things like that. The thing that I was thinking about was we see thousands of hauler sites, and a lot of people they create a site or have someone else create it for them, and they never look at it again. It's just, it's there. And there's so many things that they could do to improve it. But I think the key thing of what I was hearing is you have to continuously work on your site and test and test and test if you want more dumpster rental leads, because, kind of starts with like, how much traffic am I getting to my site? That's a question that I would guess that most people may not know how to answer. How would they answer that, Tim?
So you are right that most people do not know how to answer that. Most people that we work with, when we ask them that, they're just like, I have no idea. So the best thing that you can do with your site is Google Analytics. It's free. It's easy to set up. Just type that into Google and it'll walk you through how to set that up. And then you just take a little piece of code, put that on your website, and it tracks everything for you, starts showing you all the traffic and data that you're going to need.
I think what you'll see when you set up your Google Analytics, something just really high level and easy to look for is, what pages are people going to? And if, some people just have a website that's just one page, so it doesn't really tell you a lot there. But if, let's say you had a pricing page and your home page, just make it super simple. And you see that people go to that pricing page. Well, that's the page that if you have like, where you can say rent me or book now or whatever you have for your dumpster, that's the page that you want to do those tests of button color, of, changing the language, and also the layout is another test we didn't show you, but maybe having it higher up on the page is better than having it lower down on the page, especially knowing another thing Google Analytics can tell you is like, where's your traffic coming from? So if you have 75% of your traffic comes from a mobile device, you need to look at your phone and see what your site looks like and see if that's an easy experience or not. What have you seen there, Tim, on the mobile side?
So on the mobile side, we see for a lot of visitors, it's probably about a 60-40 split. 60% are coming from mobile devices. Now, it also depends, like one of the things you talked about is where is your traffic coming from? If your traffic is mostly coming from social, then that jumps, and about 95% of your initial visits are from a mobile device. And so looking at your mobile is insanely important. And again, it's something that a lot of people just don't do. Like they kind of view their website as like a billboard. Like I can put it up once and it's good to go. It's better to view it as like your best salesman that you have. It is selling 24/7 for you and it never stops. And if you give it just a little bit of love, it's going to make you more money than anything else you do for your business.
Yeah, another thing that I just would love our audience to really understand is we hear a lot of people that just don't have a ton of knowledge about SEO, and that's fine. You know, why would you, right? Because you're an expert at running a dumpster rental business. A lot of people go, I want to rank number one when they search for dumpsters. And this really depends on where you're at. So if you're in Dallas, Texas, you are probably not going to rank number one for dumpster rental business or dumpster rental or whatever if you've just started your business and you've got 5 cans and you're like, okay, great, I got a website, I'm ready to go. There is zero chance that you will rank number one. Why is that?
So the reason that is when you first start your business, you don't have any like trust with Google. And you have all these other companies out there, especially in a place like Dallas, where there's like 20 different dumpster rental companies out there that have been in business for probably 15, 20 plus years. And they've had these websites for 15, 20 plus years. And those are what's known as aged domains. So they've built up a lot of trust and a lot of authority. And so when you're first coming in there, Google doesn't know you from anyone else. You don't have anything. You're basically like brand new and they're not going to put you up for anything. The other thing too is you don't have any reviews. You know, right when you're first starting off, like all of these things that just you need just don't exist. And so you're not going to come up for any searches versus these other guys that have been there for 10 plus years, have like 200 Google reviews. That's your competition. And it can feel a little bit like a David and Goliath situation. Like that's a huge thing to go after. But you also have to keep in mind is there's a reason there's so many dumpster rental companies in an area like that is because the business is there. So it's like, while you may not be able to capture all of it today, you're going to be able to capture it by doing the things that we talked about in this, and especially wrapping your cans and wrapping your truck. Those are huge. Those are moving billboards that people see and they're going to immediately engage with. And if you do nothing more, I'd say like that is one of the best first steps that you can do, especially as a new business.
Yeah, when you think about if you're in an area that's not, you know, Dallas, where it's got so many people and so many established businesses, but let's say you're also not in the sticks, you probably don't need to do much advertising if you're in the sticks, because putting your name on your dumpster and your truck, that's probably good enough. But let's say you're in between. Georgetown, Texas is where I live. It's one of the fastest growing cities in America, I think. And what's interesting is there's construction everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's new residential and new commercial going up. But this is an area where a lot of the Austin businesses are trying to get this business here. But if you were starting a business, or maybe you have a dumpster rental business, but it's only been around for a year or two, you could really dominate by just, if you landed a few of these contracts, you got your dumpster that people could see driving by. That's, you know, I know exactly who that is and I know how to rent it. But also you start making relationships in these areas. But this is one that you could probably start to rank number one if someone was in Georgetown and there's not a ton of competition, where you could do some of the things that Tim said about getting some Google reviews, making sure that you're writing content, like a few blogs about renting a dumpster in Georgetown, Texas. That's going to help. But what are some other ways that I haven't mentioned?
So like the blogs is a fantastic one, but then also on your website, having basically individual locations pages for each area that you service. Now I generally recommend to do like 5 to 8 of these, and they're for your like 5 to 8 top cities, because it should coordinate with what shows in your Google business profile. So if in your Google business profile, you set your service area, you want to hit the big cities that are in those as their own location page within your website itself. You don't need to hit like every single neighborhood. Google understands. You can even do counties if you span like multiple, like 4, 5, 6 counties is just fine. But having that page in there is going to help you rank locally for those specific areas, especially if you have a bigger service area that covers multiple cities.
That's awesome. Tim, I think we gave our audience some really good information about how to get more dumpster rental leads. If you want help for your dumpster rental business, please reach out to us. This is something that comes along with our software. We have different levels of SEO, packages. We can point you in the right direction with PPC if you're interested in that. And I'm sure we can introduce you to some of the suppliers if you're looking to get truck wraps and things like that, and some really nice graphics on your dumpsters. But Tim, thanks so much for joining us today, and I hope our audience got a lot out of it.
Thanks for having me.